Hello Legacy students. So today we're going to add and subtract rational expressions the second day. Today we're not going to have common denominators. You're going to want your notes and then just a pen and a pencil today to be able to write with. So what we're going to look at, guys, we're going to now look at the 2 cows plus 3 ducks part of adding and subtracting when we do not have a two denominators that are the same. Now let's go back to when we were just doing that with just normal numbers. So I had 1/5 plus 7/10. What you're going to want to do, remember you need a common denominator or a common bottom number to both of the fractions. So if we look here, we have a 5 and a 10. So you found the number, or the lowest common denominator, the lowest number both of them can divide into. So would you both agree? You would agree with me that it's 10, right? Both of them can have a 10 go in. So then we asked ourselves, what times 5 gave us 10? Well, that would be 2, right? So then we need to multiply the top by that as well. So I'd have 2 times 1, which would give me 2. Now, notice, guys, it is 10 times 1. That would give me 10, right? Because we didn't change it. So ultimately, I would just get 7 on the top there. So then we would add our numerators. So 2 plus 7, 9. Keep the denominator the same, 9/10. We're going to do the same thing with rational expressions with an unlike denominator as well. What you're going to need to do is find the least common denominator. We make common denominators by multiplying things together, not by adding. So if you're missing an x squared, you can't just add on an x squared. You need to multiply by something to get an x squared on the denominator. You may need to factor as well today, so we can kind of see what the denominator actually has in it. Because ultimately, guys, factors might be already present and we just don't see it, okay? So let's take a look at this first example. I have 2 over 3x plus 5 over x squared. So you're probably saying, well, Marsh, how are we going to find a common denominator? That's kind of confusing. Well, here's this little chart that's going to be kind of our little helping tool until we get really, really good at it. So I'm going to write my first denominator. This is going to be my 3x row. Then we're going to write all the factors that make 3x, which is just a 3 and an x, right? 3 times x, because I'm breaking it apart by its multiplication pieces. Now let's write x squared in the second column, or second row, excuse me. Well, x squared, would you guys agree with me? I can break that into an x times an x, right? So I want to write out my factors. But notice, guys, we can't put an x under the 3 because the x and the 3 are not alike. So I can put, however, an x underneath here, and then I have one more x left behind. Now, what you can do, each column is going to give you one thing. So we're actually going to have a 3xx or 3x squared for our least common denominator, because we have canceled out which ones they have in common, which is the double column here, right? So then, guys, I need to now write 2 fractions with that as my common denominator, 3x squared and 3x squared. Now, remember when we had to multiply? We need to do that same thing, but we need to figure out what do we need to multiply by. The chart also will help us with that. So notice, guys, we have a missing piece right here. We do not have anything in this box. That is what we need to multiply. So on the bottom, on the first fraction, we need to multiply by an x. And also look at it. If we have 3x and we need to get to 3x squared, we needed to multiply by an x on the bottom. Now, to get a like fraction, we need to multiply the top as well by an x. So I would have 2x on the numerator for that, right? Now, let's look and see what this second fraction. Notice, guys, I'm missing a 3 right here. I am missing him. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by 3 to get 3x squared. So I would need to multiply the top by the 3 as well. So I would actually get 15, because 5 times 3 is 15. Now, since I have a common denominator, we can all just add the numerators. So I'm going to have 2x plus 15 over 3x squared. Double check. Did anything factor? Nah, nothing factors. So my final answer is 2x plus 15 over 3x squared. Pretty nifty with the little box, right? Let's try another example. So I have 4x plus 1 over x squared minus 4 and 3 over x minus 2. So guys, notice this is x squared minus 4. That factors. Don't leave it like that because you're going to get really lost. So this actually is x plus 2 times x minus 2, right? So I'm going to cancel that out. Okay, so now let's use our box here. So I got x plus 2, x minus 2. Now notice, guys, this is in parentheses. I cannot separate x plus 2 because they are not multiplied. So I'm going to put x plus 2 in its own box and x minus 2 in its own box. Now, second fraction, we only have an x minus 2 term. So we cannot put it in here because that's the plus 2 box area. So this would be an x minus 2 box. Now notice, guys, my common denominator then must be x plus 2 times x minus 2, right there, LCD. Okay, so then let's go ahead and write our two fractions out. We're adding it. X plus 2, x minus 2, there we go. Okay, notice, guys, we did not need anything left behind here. There's no blanks in this row. So I can just copy my numerator back down. Now, who are we missing on the denominator here that we now have on our new least common denominator? Looks like we're missing an x plus 2, right? So I need to multiply the top by that missing factor because ultimately we multiplied the bottom by that, right? So if I distribute that 3 in, we will have 3x plus 6 for the answer of the numerator. Common denominator, add the numerators. So I got 7x plus 7 over x plus 2, x minus 2. Double check, does anything factor? I could take a 7 out of the top. That's not going to help me though, right? Nah, because I'll just be left with x plus 1. Nothing cancels off anyway. We're just going to leave it. Let's take a look at example 3 here. So, first things first, I see that new denominator on that 1. Let's do some factoring, all right? So, 25, 5, 10, that's right over here. My AC's got to be 25. So 5 times 5 will give me 10, right? If I add those two, I'll get 10. Okay. So I can cross that off and rewrite him in his other form, x plus 5, because this is going to be like the Clark Kent. That was kind of like Superman. Okay, so we want the Clark Kent version. X plus 5 and x plus 5. Bring up my chart here. I got x plus 5 here, x plus 5 here. Write that twice here, like that. And then this guy's just an x plus 5. So guys, ultimately you might start to not need the table. That's okay. That means you're getting above, you're getting better at recognizing common denominators, which is awesome. Ultimately, I would like you to not have to use the chart. But if you need to use the chart to help you see things, by all means, use it. It's just helping you figure out your least common denominator in a graphical way. So I got x plus 5. Notice, guys, I am missing an x plus 5, right? Because this has double. So if I write my new denominators, almost forgot to do that before we started doing stuff. Notice it's subtraction this time. There we go. Okay. Notice, guys, I am missing an x plus 5, right, on this denominator. So if I multiply the bottom by x plus 5, I do need to multiply the top by x plus 5. So if I distribute the 4 in, I'll get 4x plus 20. Nothing need to be here, right? Because I already have both the x plus 5s in my original denominator. So let's just go ahead and copy. Now, subtraction is his own little beast. Gotta be careful. Because remember, guys, this negative is subtracting everything. So here's what I like to do. I like to change this to a plus. But then if I do that, I change everybody behind. Okay? Careful with that. Please be careful. I recommend doing that just because otherwise I find kids forget that they're subtracting, they add instead. So I got 4x plus a negative 6x, so that would be negative 2x, and then 20 plus 1 is 21, and then I have x plus 5 on the bottom for my final answer. Let's take a look at the last example. 3 over x plus 4 plus 8 over x minus 3. So guys, I'm not going to use the box this time because I see that I have two terms on the denominator that are completely different. No other factors. So would you guys agree with me that my common denominator would be x plus 4, x minus 3, multiplied together, right? Because those two are not alike in any way. So if I can write them out, those are going to be my common denominator. So who are we missing here? Notice I had an x plus 4 originally. I am now x plus 4 times x minus 3. Notice, guys, an x minus 3 is missing from the original, right? So let's multiply the top and the bottom by that. So I'd have 3x minus 9. Missing an x plus 4 over here, so let's multiply by an x plus 4. So this would be an 8x plus 32, right? Let's add our numerators. 3x plus 8x, I got 11x. And then negative 9 plus 32 is 23. Whoa! Bad hand. I wanted to write a 2. There we go. 23. And then I still have x plus 4, x minus 3 on my denominator. The numerator does not simplify, thus I am done with my wonderful answer. And that's the end of this video. See you later, Sabers.